Ever since the multiverse became a thing, the MCU's been a roller coaster full of breaches, time travel, alternate realities, and a lot of other heavy concepts. That, let's be honest, is difficult to keep up with considering no one is ever truly dead. It's just a variant. Let's unpack all of these multiversal events one by one. Incursions. This is very much a doomsday event that has the potential to kill trillions upon trillions.
Incursion?
An incursion occurs when the boundary between two universes erodes, and they collide, destroying one or both entirely.
And no, that's not an exaggeration. Dr. Richards also claims that the more actions an individual takes in another universe, the bigger the risk of an incursion.
Stephen, your arrival here confuses and destabilizes reality. The larger the footprint you leave behind, the greater the risk of an incursion.
When Doctor Strange dreamwalks into his variant's body on Earth 838, the Illuminati explained that his presence alone puts their universe at risk, and Reed in particular puts heavy emphasis on how dangerous it can be when something that doesn't belong in a universe not only stays there, but keeps affecting things. One of the best examples of this is Earth 838's Doctor Strange Supreme, who was executed by the Illuminati for causing an incursion that destroyed an entire universe when he used the Darkhold to find a way to stop Thanos. Another example is Sinister Strange, who also caused an incursion by constantly dreamwalking because he could never get over his dead girlfriend. Understandable? Sure. At the cost of a whole universe? Maybe try therapy. From what we have seen so far, though, dreamwalking is one of the fastest ways to cause an incursion. While simply stepping into another universe may not cause a real risk, any actions taken are inviting a universal extinction-level event. And we see this proven when Clea invites Doctor Strange to fix the incursion affecting the dark dimension at the end of Multiverse of Madness.
Can I help you?
You caused an incursion, and we're gonna fix it.
Not in the least.
Possessing the body of Defender Strange to go to Mount Wundagore, confronting Wanda, and all the time he spent in Earth 838 were actions that could have triggered the incursion Clea is talking about. Absolute points. In the What If series, we get introduced to the concept of absolute points. These might seem like nexus events, but they're not entirely the same. A nexus event is described as a key event in the MCU being changed, causing a timeline to branch off. An absolute point is an event that cannot and must not be changed. Absolute points are MCU events that cannot be altered because doing so would mean history would change far too much. In Season 1, Episode 4 of the What If series, the Ancient One uses the death of Christine Palmer to explain these points.
With the death of Dr. Christine Palmer, so overwhelmed by loss, you will seek answers in the mystic arts. Her death is an absolute point in time, unchangeable, unmovable. Without her death, you would never have defeated Dormammu and become the Sorcerer Supreme and the Guardian of the Eye of Agamotto.
We also see the universe correct itself when someone tries to change an absolute point. Doctor Strange uses the Eye of Agamotto to travel back in time so he can save Christine Palmer. This time, he tried not past the truck that caused the original car crash. However, the accident still happened. Strange tried again and again to rescue her, but each attempt led to her death. When they arrived at the party they were going to, she died of a heart attack. When he tried to avoid it by staying at a cafe with her, she was shot by a robber. And when he stood her up and didn't pick her up for the party, she died in her apartment due to arson. While we don't get to see other absolute points, the consequences of trying to change one are made very clear throughout the What If series. Timeline pruning. Loki brought a lot of new concepts, themes, and plot lines with both of its seasons, and one of them was the concepts of timelines, pruning, nexus events, and variants. All of these are very interconnected, and they're all in the jurisdiction of the Time Variance Authority. The TVA is an organization that exists outside normal time. Its job is to monitor the multiverse and make sure reality follows a controlled path called the Sacred Timeline.
Variant identified. On behalf of the Time Variance Authority, I hereby arrest you for crimes against the Sacred Timeline.
I beg your pardon?
The TVA was created by He Who Remains, a scientist from the far future. After discovering the multiverse, he learned that different versions of himself would inevitably go to war with each other. To stop that from happening, he chose a single timeline and built the TVA to protect it. To ensure nothing would deviate from that timeline, he set up the TVA to monitor Nexus events. As we briefly discussed earlier, a Nexus event is what happens when any decision or event creates a branch in the timeline. The moment that action occurs, another timeline is created, and it's the TVA's job to hit the delete button on these undesirables. That's what we call pruning. It's the TVA's method for eliminating alternate timelines that branch away from the sacred timeline. When someone makes a choice that creates a Nexus event, a new branch begins forming. If that branch is allowed to grow, it can eventually become its own universe. The TVA sees this as a threat, so they intervene immediately. TVA agents arrive at the point of divergence, arrest the individual responsible, known as a variant, and deploy a reset charge. That charge doesn't just erase a moment in time, it collapses the entire branching timeline. Everything connected to that branch, including people, objects, and places, is removed from reality. Those pruned timelines are sent to the void, a wasteland at the end of time. Nothing disappears instantly. Instead, everything that ends up there is eventually consumed by Alioth, ensuring the timeline can never reform.
You're in the void. Think of it as purgatory. Reed called it a metaphysical junkyard, where anything useless goes before it gets annihilated forever. And where the TVA sends people that don't play nice with the rest of the multiverse.
Let's go with an example. The 2012 version of Loki, who had escaped New York, was eventually captured by the Time Variance Authority. This Loki is different from the one we have seen so far, who was defeated in the first Avengers film during the Battle of New York. The moment he decided to escape and successfully did it, he caused a Nexus event. However, Agent Mobius saw an opportunity here. He wanted to use this Loki to capture another variant of Loki, the escaped Sylvie. But Loki, being an absolute legend, not only teamed up with this variant of himself, but also fell for her. Or himself. However, that works.
She's not my girlfriend. Whatever you want to call her. Your female self that you have some demented crush on.
Sylvie's timeline was also erased by a reset charge, including her parents, the Asgard she knew as home, and her entire reality. The TVA is very ruthless when it comes to pruning. The only way she managed to escape the TVA was by hiding in apocalyptic events, since the TVA couldn't detect Nexus events during those.
How we do?
I don't believe it.
Zero variance energy, no branching in the timeline.
The TVA would never even know we were here.
Later, pruning is used as punishment inside the TVA itself. Judge Renslayer orders TVA agents and prisoners to be pruned when they become liabilities, including ordering Loki and Sylvie pruned during their escape attempt. Loki survives only because he's sent to the void rather than erased outright. We then see the results of countless pruning actions in the void itself, which is filled with the remnants of entire timelines, cities, weapons, and variants, including multiple alternate Lokis who were pruned after deviating from their assigned paths. There are a lot of displaced people in the void. We find the corpse of Giant Man, Cassandra Nova, Johnny Storm, the Chris Evans version, Elektra from the Daredevil movie, and many, many others. We also see many different versions of Loki, such as Boastful Loki, President Loki, Kid Loki, Classic Loki, and yes, even Alligator Loki. Basically, if you weren't one of Marvel's heavy hitters or your project got canceled, you're probably ending up here. Timeline pruning is one of the most critical functions of the TVA, but it's not their only way to correct timelines. He Who Remains has taken every step to ensure that only the sacred timeline is protected, including manipulating raw time. The temporal loom. The temporal loom was built by He Who Remains as a backup plan. Its job was simple but brutal. Protect the sacred timeline by deleting any branching timelines that got out of hand, keeping the multiverse locked down and controlled. As long as He Who Remains was alive, the system worked. But then Sylvie went and killed him. The moment the sacred timeline lost its caretaker, branches started forming endlessly. The loom was never designed to handle that. It began overloading almost immediately. Ouroboros tried to adjust it so it could handle all the new branches with the help of Hunter B-15 and Casey, but this didn't really work. Loki had to time-slip to just before the death of He Who Remains, who revealed his purpose as a fail-safe system.
The temporal loom is a failsafe. When the loom is overloaded with branches, it deletes the ones that aren't supposed to be there.
Loki was also warned that by breaking the loom, all of time would come to an end, and that a free multiverse couldn't exist without a loom. In the end, Loki broke the temporal loom and took its place, preserving the branches. Basically, the temporal loom works as one massive reset charge across the entire multiverse. It's one big nuclear option throughout every timeline. Doctor Strange's spell? Another instance of a multiversal event is the spell Strange used in No Way Home, which Peter completely screwed up. After his identity is exposed to the world, Peter Parker turns to Doctor Strange for help. Strange agrees to cast a spell that will make everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Simple fix, or at least it's supposed to be. As Strange begins the spell, Peter keeps interrupting, asking for exceptions. He wants MJ to remember, then Ned, then Aunt May. Each change destabilizes the spell, and Strange is forced to contain it before it fully collapses. He traps the broken spell inside a magical construct and tells Peter the situation is under control, but it really isn't. By this point, the damage is done. The damage spell starts pulling people in from other universes, specifically individuals who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. The first to appear is Dr. Octopus, followed by Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard. These are people from completely different realities, just waltzing into our Earth. As Strange realizes the scope of the problem, he explains that the spell is drawing in more and more people from across the multiverse. If it isn't stopped, the barrier between universes will fully break down. However, spells work in funky ways, and this one didn't just bring in people who knew Spider-Man was Peter Parker. It also brought in two different Peter Parkers. Now, as we've already established, it's incredibly dangerous for people from other realities to just be roaming around, doing stuff, making key decisions, and wreaking havoc throughout a city. That's exactly where things end up. By the end of the movie, the spell is spiraling out of control, completely. As the spell continues breaking down, the sky itself begins to tear open. Strange explains that the spell is now pulling in an infinite number of people from across the multiverse. We see silhouettes pushing through the cracks in reality, and countless beings from other universes trying to cross over. This is one of the most severe multiversal events we've ever seen. Because incursions are just two different realities colliding, this was literally the walls between several universes on the verge of breaking down. It's like a coughing baby versus a hydrogen bomb. It's why Peter Parker has to make the ultimate sacrifice by making everyone forget him.
So cast a new spell, but this time make everyone forget who Peter Parker is. Make everyone forget. Me.
No.
But it would work, right?
Yeah, it would work.
Which is what finally ends up stabilizing the multiverse. In the end, no one remembers him. But it's not a Spider-Man movie unless it ends in a funeral or he's heavily depressed.
Hey.
One sec. Can I help you?
Hi, my name is Peter Parker, and I would like a coffee, please.
Okay, no problem, Peter Parker.
Anchor being. In the movie Deadpool and Wolverine, Wade Wilson from Earth 10005, which is the Fox Universe timeline, is taken by the TVA. That universe begins to destabilize after the death of Logan, who is revealed to be its anchor being, meaning his existence was what kept that reality stable.
What's an anchor being?
An anchor being is an entity of such vital importance that when they die, their whole world slowly withers out of existence.
When he realizes the original Logan is dead, he starts his own multiversal shenanigans by hopping between universes using a TVA tempad. Yeah, they call them tempads. His mission? Find a variant Wolverine who could replace him. He returns to the TVA with one, but Paradox explains that an anchor being cannot be replaced ever.
Your world is dying.
Thank you very much. And there's no stopping it.
Paradox is also using the Time Ripper, a device that packs many reset charges, to accelerate the destruction of Earth 10,000 to 5. Also, this Wolverine is the biggest bum ever to him because he failed to save the X-Men in his universe, which is kinda messed up. Can't heroes ever screw up a job or two?
I wouldn't have accepted any other Wolverine, BT Dubs, but you have outdone yourself and brought me the worst Wolverine!
What do you mean the worst one?
This Wolverine let down his entire world. He's the stuff of legend, but not in a good way. And what he did, well, some things are just beyond forgiveness.
Speaking of screw-ups, Wade finds out what Paradox's is. He's been acting without TVA approval, so in true corporate fashion, Paradox prunes them both to save his job, sending them to the Void. From there, they escape, encounter the Deadpool core, which is exactly what it sounds like, and get pulled into a conflict with Cassandra Nova, who plans to use the Time Ripper to destroy every timeline and leave only the Void. But the most important takeaway here is that we get to see Dogpool. Oh, and we get a very weird Deadpool version, Asswell. Nice pool.
Oh, yes.
Sorry about that. Come here, girl.
Who are you? Oh, I'm Deadpool. But in here, everybody calls me Nice Pool.
Wade and Logan ultimately destroy the Time Ripper together, killing Cassandra Nova. They survive the burst of energy from the Ripper by sharing the burden of the blast together.
I don't understand. How are you two still alive?
You were right. One of us would have been killed. But you put a Deadpool and a Wolverine together? Make them hold hands while listening to Madonna? Indestructible, motherfucker.
So the logic gets a bit tricky here. You might wonder why they don't trigger an incursion, variance, nexus events, or other important stuff that we've gone over. The reason is that how you travel the multiverse matters a lot. By doing it through dark magic that messes with the universe, such as dreamwalking, it's almost always risky. But if all multiversal travel had the same risk, then the TVA couldn't do its job. In the movie, Wade and Logan use TemPads and time portals to do their traveling. TemPads themselves use time doors to make going between timelines possible. These doors have access to any point in time throughout timelines, so it's like having your own private jet, but through history. Secondly, Earth 10005 isn't colliding with another universe's Earth. It's being destabilized because it lost its own Wolverine, who was that universe's anchor being. At the end of the movie, the TVA allows Logan to relocate to Earth 10005, which ends up stabilizing the universe, which means Paradox was wrong about how an anchor being can't be replaced.
Do you see that? Your universe is regenerating. Whatever you did here, you not only saved your world, you spared your timeline from extinction.
That's a lot of science fiction. Keeping track of all the new rules and laws introduced through Loki and the latest films is a mission on its own, and I don't blame you for being confused. Hopefully, this video gave you a better understanding of what's really happening with Marvel nowadays and the state of the multiverse currently. But let's get on to more important matters. Do you think we'll ever see Dogpool again?